All right, let's go to one of those neutral sites. Let's go to Vegas, where you have the Spider-Man meme taking place on Sunday night. You have USC versus LSU, and they're both just shooting webs at each other. They both have replaced historically great quarterbacks on two electric offenses. Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, both gone. They both have massive problems on defense, but have gone out and hopefully fixed those problems with defensive coordinators and coaching staff moves to fix some of those problems. I do think LSU has more talent, more depth, and is a better all-around roster, and I could argue has the better coach in this situation. But schematically, I think Lincoln Riley is as good as anybody on offense. I think Blake Baker is as good as anybody on defense for LSU. I think it is a fascinating matchup, and one of the few, Stephen, where the neutral site, paycheck game in week one, from an unpredictability standpoint, from a storyline standpoint, from an importance standpoint, I mean, this could catapult either of these two teams into the playoff with a win. It sort of has it all, and it's a 4-point spread. It's going to be very close. I think it's going to be very good. Again, Spider-Man meme in Vegas in the desert on Sunday night. Sign me up.
So I think the first thing that jumps out to you about this game is LSU's issues in the first 2 years under Brian Kelly in season openers. They lost to Florida State in New Orleans, lost to him in Orlando. Beating USC would be some sort of, I don't know, maybe, like release for LSU fans to sort of get over that hump and win a season opener. This one's much more favorable, I think, for LSU probably than the last two. So many like storylines in this game with change because you have USC's new defensive coordinator, Danson Lynn, coming over from UCLA. UCLA was very good on defense last year. I think USC's personnel is probably better than what the stat sheet showed the last couple of years. It is, the players, I think, have, we haven't played a game yet, but they seem very confident in the scheme and sort of some of the changes so far. So I expect this group to be better. How much better? I think, we'll start to find out on Sunday night, because I think on the other side, the changes for LSU, it's new offensive coordinator. Mike Denbrock's gone to A&M. Joe Sloan promoted to play caller. You've got a new quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier. New receivers got to step up. But there's one constant at LSU, and that's going to be that offensive line. This is one of the best in the country. 4 starters back. I think Nussmeier is going to grow into this role as the season goes along. And I think he's going to end up being probably one of the top, 15 to 20 quarterbacks in college football. He's already had a pretty good start in the bowl game against Wisconsin and some other time. So you've got all these changes, but at the same time, I think if you're LSU, you have to feel pretty good about having a quarterback of Nussmeier's caliber, plus that offensive line. And then on the other side, this LSU defense, I think kind of similar to USC, I think the personnel is probably better than what the stat sheet showed. And having a scheme change, a new voice leading the defense will certainly help. Maybe not top 5 in the SEC, but I do expect some improvement. If I'm USC, the one group that really worries me is going to be their offensive line. LSU's defensive front, probably not one of the LSU defensive fronts we're used to seeing as far as like elite, top 5, top 10.
But Blake Baker's going to be attack, and he's got an attack dog in Harold Perkins that he's going to turn loose, I think, on Sunday
night. We saw this at Missouri. Blake Baker was not afraid to be aggressive with his defensive fronts, and this USC offensive line is, to me, the biggest question in the game. I like Miller Moss, too, the quarterback for USC, but we have one big sample size, and that was a bowl game. So this will be a big test for USC's reloaded offense too.
I think both defenses will be better at the end of the year. I don't know if it happens yet. And if you're asking me which offense I trust more, ironically, it might be LSU because of the offensive line and because of the matchup where USC under Lincoln Riley and frankly at Oklahoma has never shown the ability to put a defense on the field that can stop this type of team. So here's the other thing. I don't think either of these two teams is elite. I think it's two really good teams. I think they both could be 8-9 win good. I think they both have sort of like upper half of their conference upside, but I don't think they're playoff teams. And I just think LSU has a little bit more talent where it counts. I think Garrett Nussmeier is just as trustworthy in that offensive scheme as Miller Moss will be in Lincoln Riley's. I think Nussmeier's very well prepared to take over and be productive this year. So I like LSU minus the 4, actually. I think LSU's the better team, but I do think this is going to be a very good football game and, frankly, a very good helmet game. We'll see if those yellows and those golds match up well. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, it's a great uniform game. I didn't think about that till now. I like LSU in this game. I think like you said, I think Nussmeier settles in. I think the LSU offense, the change at receiver, it may take some time, but I think this offense will be fine by the end of the year. And I think Blake Baker and that LSU defense do just enough. So I like LSU to win this one.
I agree. Miami, Florida, not a good uniform game. Notre Dame, Texas A&M, great uniform game.
For sure.
Great uniform game. I think USC, LSU, as long as we get one wearing the white and the other one wearing the colors, I think it's a great uniform game for sure. So, all right, I got LSU -4, so we'll get to picks against the spread coming up in just a minute.